So for my next piece, I picked Sinfonia 11, and this one is quite a challenging piece. I don't think I would recommend it unless it was for a very advanced student that I was teaching, just because of the all of the ties in the piece, which really require the student to be very intentional and thoughtful, and I think it seems like a very advanced piece. The first thing I would do to teach this piece is I would talk about the different voices that are going on in this piece, and I would make sure that the students could play through each of those voices separately. I'd probably start them out with the soprano line first, and we just walk through that motto or theme. But actually, I think I would just, just do that soprano line. Let me do that again. So I would walk them through that. I did add a little bit of the alto at some parts just so I could get that those ties. So I would encourage them to, add the notes that are being tied to that soprano voice, and then try the the bass line as well, just so they could get the idea of what kind of conversation is happening. Those separate voices. Next, I would talk about noticing the ties, since that's the really big part of this piece, is holding the ties, and this whole idea of having dissonance and then resolution is the main theme of this piece. I would really try to make that noticeable to the students. And something that I might do with them is, first, if they're a visual learner, is to go through the piece and find the notes that should be held and tied throughout the piece, and actually circling them. So I'll show you my score. I would actually have them circle the notes that are going to be held, and maybe drawing a line to show them it's going to be held out, which might help them. Again, I did that right here as well, just showing them that is being held out. That is being held out, so they can still hear those voices holding out. So I might encourage the student, circle those notes that need to be held, so you can still hear them, and then to walk through them slowly. Can you still hear that there? And then when we add in the bass line, can you hear? Are you holding all those three voices together? And I'd have them stop. So we do a little bit of stop-go playing that way, stopping at the end of those measures, making sure are all the notes being tied. Another step I would do along with this kind of stop-go practice is to have them, when they come in with that second, and they have that second rub, I might actually just have them play it blocked, so they can hear that's the sound that they're aiming for. Playing them blocked together and then coming back and then playing them tied, so they can get used to that's the sound they want to hear there, those minor seconds. Interesting. I would, my student would probably ask, well, what's going on here? This G is supposed to be held, and measure, 6, and yet it's played again there in that middle voice, in the alto voice. And this could, be an issue of that Bach did play on a harpsichord. Harpsichords sometimes had, the harpsichords had two different manuals to play on. So that's probably what we're seeing here, is that he actually played that voice on another manual setting there. So it'd be an opportunity to teach a little bit of history on the harpsichord there to the student. blocked first. Over to the exercise. Is that motto? And I, look for opportunities to show them where the motto is being echoed in other voices. Along with that, there is quite a few moments in this piece where the left hand takes over the alto voice, and so I would make sure that's very clearly mapped out. However, the student wants to, if they're a visual learner, maybe I'd use a highlighter to help them see, where those notes or voices are going to be taken by the left hand. The next thing I would do is I would, after doing stop go and checking the holds, I would then have them go ahead and play the piece just as the ties. Not playing them blocked. And then I would go into, before the student left from that lesson, I would organize and analyze the piece. So then they can get a kind of a continuity of what is going on, and to have a planned learning plan for this piece. So I would separate it into sections. So, the first theme, the first A theme, goes on to measure 15, and then this new B theme comes in. A B theme comes in, and we have a little bit of transition around measure 30. And then we go to this other theme in D, where we have a little bit of traveling and sequencing that I point out to them. The motto that comes in again there, but it's being sequenced down. So I write that in their music so they can see there's continuity. It's just not these random notes that sometimes it feels like when you're beginning Bach, it just feels so notey, but there's actual continuity to it, and there's a picture frame around this, and it makes sense. So I'd split those up into sections. And with the student, I'd also try to find moments that that are important to bring out, like in measure 62, the dominant. And then when the motto does come back, so emphasizing that 5 chord, then it comes back to resolve. Finding moments like that to point out to the students as well. There's quite a few times where they have opportunities to stress notes. So I'd look for those 5 chords that we can find in the piece, and organizing it that way. But before they leave, just really emphasizing taking the piece slow and looking for the ties and the dissonance in this piece.